Charles, we narrowly avoided a bullet. It's obviously we need to recognize Corey Comparatori and the people who are injured. But what a horrible situation we would be in right now if the president had been killed. I'm glad we have our anti-assassination headgear with us today.
That's
How
right.
are you, Charles?
It'll help us go incognito. Nobody will recognize us.
Right. Well, we're going to be joined by John Cullen in just a few minutes. I don't know if you've had enough time to be on Twitter the past couple days, but John has been tearing it up. He's going to talk to us about this great diagram he has created. Oh, something strange going on up here. But he's going to talk to us about this great diagram that he has created. This, I don't know if you've seen this movie, Charles. This is Joe is Lost, but it's from this movie about, what's his name? Robert Redford getting lost at sea. And Joe is just, he's done.
Completely lost. He's shot, as it were. Yeah. We had news of the Zoom call that occurred on Saturday, right before the assassination attempt. And apparently Joe was even worse than he was in the debate and with Stephanopoulos, so much so that now in the last minutes or so, Adam Schiff and others are reigniting calls for Joe to be taken off the ticket.
Yeah, I think that's the death knell for him. And in fact, when I saw that thing about Adam Schiff calling for that, it made me think that he must have had foreknowledge of the attack, and now that it failed, he's probably thinking, oh no, Joe is definitely going to lose. What do you think about this, Charles? I mean, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but yet it seems like nothing at all that they've told us hangs together from a logical standpoint at all.
Right. Every element of the story, the initial story, makes no sense. I mean, right away, the Secret Service says, we're sure he acted alone. Right away.
Yeah.
And there's no news from the parents.
I know that. They said they called 911.
I know. I said in the beginning, there's no news from the parents. And now we're finding out it's like the Tsarnaev brothers. You know, the Russians call up and say, you've got a problem with the Tsarnaev brothers. The FBI goes to interview them. Oh, there's not a threat. And then they do what they do. So this is really, I think, deeply disturbing. The more we hear about the degree to which the, quote, Secret Service was prepared and doing a good job protecting now the front runner for the American election, presidential election 2024, the less confidence I have that our money is being spent properly on security. I mean, this is crazy.
It's going to be a little difficult for me to keep this hat out of your shot, so I hope you won't mind.
Okay.
Just go with regular hair.
There you go.
I don't have that much of it left. But we're going to be joined by John in a little while. I know you've got some questions, Charles, about John has been putting together some ballistics research, diagrams of what is going on. Right now, he has, based on video of the site, he has put together this map, which basically shows the trajectories he's been able to calculate. And now, again, this is all just happening a few days ago, so It's a developing hypothesis, and we'll talk to him about that a bit more. When I first saw his diagram there, he's showing two lines intersecting. It immediately, this red line, is this green or yellow here?
Yellow.
This yellow line, here's Trump right here. And what this caused me to realize is there's going to be another shooter off here somewhere in the front, in my opinion, because this looks to me like a military assassination killbox, which is, this is not something that I came up with. This is a tactic, a known term. If we even look up killbox, it'll tell you that it is a three-dimensional, in weaponry, a killbox is a three-dimensional target area defined to facilitate the integration of coordinated joint weapons fire. The space is defined by an area reference system, but could follow terrain features, be located by grid coordinates or a radius from the center point. I mean, the point is, this is a military-style operation. This is not some idiot kid who crawled up to the roof and just started firing a sniper rifle.
Right.
This was a very sophisticated... There's no doubt that this was not only a conspiracy, but a sophisticated military operation. And it's my opinion, Charles, that every single person who was involved, we're going to need like an American-style Nuremberg trial to put lots of people in the Secret Service, the military, people like Adam Schiff. All of these people need to be investigated, indicted, I think, prosecuted, and we could be looking at like massive number of life prison sentences over this.
Or worse. Yeah, it just, of recent 24 hours, 48 hours, I started to say that we had heard nothing from the parents. Now the parents are claiming that they contacted police. They were concerned, where's their son, what's going on? Then we hear now that the son may have gotten to the site some 3 hours before he started shooting, or even longer beforehand, with a ladder, with a rifle, with the ammunition. I mean, and he had multiple interactions with different police officers and other personnel who should have seen alarm bells, should have rung alarm bells.
Sorry, hang on. We got a little technical problem here, Charles. I think because John joined after the fact, we have him in the wrong Zoom meeting. Let's do this. I need to restart the Zoom meeting, John, and then come back in, okay? We'll have John in just 1 second here.
Am I off camera? I'll switch to my regular hat.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. We'll go just cut to a picture of Joe. And let's get Zoom back up here. And let's get John in here. So I want to thank everybody for joining us and remind them that you can sponsor Crowdsource the Truth on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. You can also go to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And also, of course, John is joining us, and I want to remind people they can visit subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen. And it's very important to sponsor John and Crowdsource the Truth, because we just wouldn't be having this type of analysis if we didn't have the support of the individual viewer sponsors who make this show possible. So I really want to thank everybody who's been doing that. So I think, John, we've got you here ready to go. You see us?
I do indeed. Thank you
we go.
Having me. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Good to have you, John. You are just tearing it up on Twitter. Good to have you back here with Charles. Welcome.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much for having me on your show on a Wednesday.
It's my honor.
This is the first time we've been together when I wasn't dressed like the Unabomber. So this is a show.
Now you're dressed like a man in black.
That's right.
Indeed. Well,
but John,
so
your skill and experience in your knowledge of guns and also just the work that you did in unraveling the Las Vegas shooting, it's all coming back now in this incident. You've put together this really... It's captured the attention of Twitter, and you are getting millions of views on this research. People should follow you at I_am_John Cullen if they want to learn about COVID-19, the Vegas shooting, and now the assassination attempt on the former president of the United States. Why don't you tell us what you've discovered and what the current status of the research is?
Sure. So I guess, we did a show Sunday night, right? We did a sort of a recap on Sunday night about what we saw. And there were certain things that jumped out at me as somewhat odd. And I dug into those things a little bit further. And in doing so, discovered that there's a number of people who are being hit in one way, shape, form, or another with a particular shot. And the issue with gunshots and things of that nature, they're difficult to figure out where they're coming from. So if you're out in the open somewhere and somebody shoots at you and misses, it's very difficult to tell where that came from. Okay, because when it goes past you, in this case, it's still supersonic. And so you're going to hear it break the sound barrier. There's a sort of a sound barrier effect that happens within 125 feet of you. So when the bullet passes, you hear this crack noise.
Wait, hang on 1 second, Sean. Let me just ask you this, because there's going to be a lot of people watching who have just zero. Maybe we should go to that. When you fire a gun, forget about this particular shooting for a moment, but when you fire a gun like this gun, what are the things that happen that contribute to this issue that you're talking about that confuse people? Because I think most people don't even know about that.
Okay, so there's a couple things that when we're talking in this domain, you need to understand. First of all, if he's shooting an AR-15, the round itself, the bullet is not that big. It's actually the same size as a .22 long rifle bullet in diameter. So the bullet itself is not that big a bullet, but it has so much gunpowder in the brass casing portion that it comes out of the gun at almost or close to or in excess of 3,000 feet per second. This is supersonic, this is like Mach 2.7 or something. This is unbelievable speed. So it has broken the sound barrier, and that's the big sound that most people hear. Now, at a distance, let's say you're 100 yards downrange from a shooter, or 150 yards in this case, downrange from a shooter, you're actually going to hear two sounds if the gun doesn't have a suppressor. Okay, so if the gun does not have a suppressor, you're going to hear two sounds. And in the world of shooting, we call this the crack and the thump. The crack is the sound of the bullet just whizzed past you, and it's broken the sound barrier. So as it passes you, it creates something in the atmosphere that bang creates this bang sound. So you hear that, then a half a second later, quarter second later, third of a second later, whatever it is, you hear the boom part from the gun. The sound from the gun that went boom.
Oh, wow, you hear that after.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The
Correct.
N wave of the breaking the sound barrier.
The
Wow.
bullet, right, because the bullet's going faster than the
So
speed of
much
sound.
faster than sound, of course.
So you don't hear the bullet. When the bullet hits you in the mouth, you don't hear it. The sound, the bullet's going faster than the speed of sound. So you don't hear the bullet till it's past you. And what you hear, can you pull up a picture of Camp Perry? It's either Perry or Paris in Ohio. I think it's Camp Perry in Ohio. And Camp Perry has a long distance shooting range. And I'll show you how I know all this kind of crap. So when you go to Camp Perry and you want to look at the NRA 1,000-yard range, we want to see the 1,000-yard range at Camp Perry, Ohio.
Looks like this.
And
Doesn't look like 1,000 yards.
well, if you type in 1,000-yard range at Camp Perry, you'll see the 1,000-yard range. There's different ranges, right? So the 1,000-yard range has a ditch at the back. And the whole point is when you're go to images. And then if you're in the ditch, yeah. So all the way down range, there's this ditch. And these guys are shooting at these targets. So now let's do it. Yeah. So you stand in a ditch back there and you pull these targets up and down. In fact, let's do another quick search for NRA F-class target pulling. NRA F-class target pulling. And it's important because this is experience that I've had that, again, it's like you don't know what it sounds like to be shot at until you've been shot at. Right. I've been shot at. Right. And now we want to see, but we want to be in the pits. We want to be in the target pits. So we want to be down where they're pulling the targets. That's what we want to see, the target pulling in the pits. So down in the target pits, there's these target things that swing up and down on a pivot, and you're down like in a trench, and they're shooting over your head. When the bullet passes over your head, you hear this crack.
Is this it?
Those are the shooters. I want to see the guys pulling targets. Type in pulling targets at an F-class match in the pits. Pulling targets in an F-class match in the pits. There's got to be a video of this on YouTube or something. Because you got to pull these targets up and down. There's
here's a guy doing something with targets.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Okay, show everybody that. All right, so you're
Looks like
in
he's
a
about
ditch.
to get shot.
You don't move away from this wall. You do not step away from that wall. They are shooting over your head.
I see. Here's the wall, and he's below the wall. He pushes that up.
And he pushes it up, and it's on a swinging pivot. See if there's some other pictures of it.
Here's a video.
Another picture. Okay, so he's going to mark it, and then it's going to swing up. And the guy who's 1,000 yards away, more than half a mile away, is going to shoot at this target over this guy's head. Now, there's a big dirt berm behind that wall, so it's like there's no way that they can hit the guy.
It's about to go up. There you go. He's got a weight on it. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So now they can see this from half a mile away. They can see that target. Okay, and you're standing there and you're waiting for the sound of the crack. And as soon as you hear the sound of the crack, that means your guy just shot your target. You got to pull it down, find the hole, mark the hole, put the score on the target, and get the target back up. That's the game. This is the NRA shooting, and more money is spent in this sport than in the NFL.
Really?
This is a bigger industry, dollar for dollar, than NFL football.
Wow.
Who
knew
because
that?
You're talking
other
about
than Cullen?
Ammunition. You're talking right. So this is big money, right? When everybody talks about how many guns there are in America, well, there's a lot of people that shoot competitively. And when you're in the pits, you know what it sounds like to hear a bullet coming at you. You know what that sounds like.
Wait, just a second there. If you're just telling me it's that big, then it's even more implausible that this kid they're saying, the 20-year-old, is the only shooter, right?
What do you mean?
Well, it's based on evidence. So again, I come at stuff differently, right? So I come at the joke that Jason and I have is that we go by thickness. When I choose my socks, yeah, I don't really care if the colors are the same. I care about the weave, right? I don't really care what color they are. I care about the weave. So if I got one red, one green, to me that's port and starboard. I'm good to go. I'm out of here. So
that's aviation.
I measure things differently. I look at things differently. Right. So I look at this stuff and I use this technique that's actually from Francis Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon, which is inductive reasoning.
Sure.
And the whole point of inductive reasoning is nowadays, for sure, we go into these things pretty much safe to assume somebody's hiding something from us.
Oh, yeah.
We are not going to get to see all the evidence. We haven't yet heard any of the radio chatter amongst SWAT, Secret Service. Hey, Tommy, do you see that guy up in the thing? Yep. We got that. We haven't heard any of that. Had a lot of that from Las Vegas. We got none of it right now.
Not immediately, though. Wasn't that radio stuff released much later?
No, the citizen journalists went online to the LVMPD radio stuff. Yeah,
but John, wouldn't this be an encrypted, closed radio channel? This is not public police
now everything is digital. Yeah, now everything is, because after September 11th and after the Vegas shooting, in particular, everybody moved to these digital trunks, and they're very.
There is one detail that we got this morning, though. There was an interview with a law enforcement guy that I saw where he described how one officer boosted another officer up, and he was holding with his hands on the edge. Saw the guy, he fired at him, and he fell back. What that guy said, that's an important detail, which I had presumed, because this is how we operate on set. Camera has one channel, production has another channel, then there's a universal channel that everybody is listening on. So they were saying there was a universal channel. So the sniper teams will have one channel, the local police will have one channel, there'll probably be a executive channel, and then there's one channel that everybody is listening to. And they knew immediately, everybody on this universal channel knew there was somebody on the roof. Why didn't they just say, forget about who we're going to shoot, get Trump out of here?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And what do? If I'm the cop, if I climb up the ladder and I see that there's some pimple faced kid on the roof with a gun, what am I going to do if I'm a cop?
You can
I'm
shoot him.
firing my gun.
Both?
I'm firing my gun into the air. I'm creating a shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Now nobody knows. Bang,
Right.
bang, 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 bang.
Right.
We've got a shooter.
Right.
We've got a shooter right here. If I fall off the ladder, I am drawing my weapon and drawing attention to this location immediately. Immediately. Next question. Why do we not have mobile shot spotter? Thank
Good
you.
question.
Thank you.
The
Thank
audio
you.
detection, you mean, of where the shot is coming
Instantly, command and control knows where the shot came from. Why not? Why not? Why don't we have that? Why do I
Right,
have
get you
to do
sell
all this
that
frickin'
now.
work? Why am I doing all the work here? Why do I have to do this with a frickin' slide rule when we have the software that, dude, all we have to do is put up 4 microphones in that venue.
from? Right.
I can tell you exactly where
where it
that
is.
shot came from.
Yeah.
All I need are 4 microphones. I could probably get away with 3.
Well, John,
And
we're
shots-
just a few.
shots- I'm blown away that ShotSpotter and the Secret Service haven't figured out how to protect these venues so that command and control can, in an instant, say, that's where it is. Why do they not have that?
The shot
And
spotter
if they
people
do,
are going to
do
make
we
this.
not know about that? And it is deployed and just that's a secret? Well, I'm here to show you guys where the shots came from using old-fashioned ballistic slide rule crap. And we're going to line it up the old-fashioned way, like we used to, using VHF direction finders. See what happens when you teach a 10-year-old how to navigate?
That is
Create a
awesome.
monster. You create
Now,
a monster.
John, we're just about at the edge of our free portion of the broadcast, and we want people to join us on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And I want to appeal to the audience that's watching right now. If you've just learned about Crowdsource the Truth or about John Cullen, the reason that we do it this way is because a long time ago, people who are very likely affiliated with the same people who planned this are simultaneously working to remove independent voices from the news and from social media so that you viewers will be forced to watch MSNBC and CNN and all of this sort of corporate-owned and corporate-sponsored propaganda, exactly. So John and I have been working together for 7 years. Charles, luckily, is independently wealthy, doesn't need people to join him on Subscribestar or Patreon or any of that. But it's critically important that people who find this information important become sponsors of the show. Please visit subscribestar.com or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen or sponsor Crowdsource the Truth so that we can continue bringing this kind of information. No corporate sponsors influence John or me. It's all you, the independent, individual viewers micro-sponsoring the show. We do this so that you can be confident that there is no financial interest swaying the input or affecting this information. So join us in just 5 minutes on any of these channels. You're going to be supporting independent journalism, and you are going to be stunned when you see the information we are about to